Okay, so that's exactly how we are working on. So without further delay, I'm going to ask Ella to introduce herself and introduce WCCF.
Hello, thanks, Mike. Yeah, I'm Ella Kenny. I'm the Program and Research Manager at World Cities Culture Forum. My background is in community engagement and sustainability and nature culture linkages in heritage. So this is a topic that's really close to my heart personally. World Cities Culture Forum, it's a membership network of 45 global cities. As we know, culture is always at the bottom of city priorities and national priorities. So what we're looking at is how we can elevate culture within this space to really recognize that it is integral across policy areas. It's important for our health, it's important for the environment, it's important for transport, infrastructure, education, and really embed that process. So we were founded in 2012 by the Mayor of London, and that initially started really as a data exercise. It was looking at how global cities could rank each other and compare data in that way. But what we realized is it was much more interesting not to rank each other and say, this city is best for fashion, this city has the most World Heritage sites, etc. It was much more interesting to say, this is how we can collaborate, this is what we can learn from each other, and this is how we can collectively move culture up the national and international agenda. We're based in London. Excellent question. So we're still based in London. That's where the Secretariat is. And that is because up until 2 years ago, we were incubated by Greater London Authority and managed by BOC Consulting, who I'm sure many of you are familiar with. And then 2 years ago, we became an independent charity. So we're now in this process of really internationalizing ourselves as an organization and expanding where our secretariats are based, but it's a process of growth that we're going through. So we're now, 45 global cities. We focus on major cities because there's so many incredible city networks. This is the niche that we're working in. Global cities can really learn from each other in a different way as well. So we predominantly focus on cities over 1.5 million or cities who are on the Loughborough Index of global cities, so alpha and beta cities. And then we work at 3 levels. So at the leadership level, so with the city leaders in our network, we have our annual summit, which takes place in a different global city each year. Most recently in Sao Paulo and Dubai, and then this year will take place in Amsterdam. And then we also do run a limited amount of public-facing events as well. So as part of our summit, there is always a public element. And we're looking at how we can expand our reach into other conferences, other spaces, and connect our global leaders with these opportunities. So that could be a potential area for collaboration with the Heritopolis group. And then we also work at a city level. So we run exchanges between cities, looking at really practical policy solutions. So that will involve bringing city members from across policy areas, so transport, climate, etc., as well as culture leaders, and bringing them to another city to understand how policy is enacted in that space and what they can learn to then fast track that policy back home. So that's a kind of cornerstone of what we do. And then we also work on a global level. So you might have seen that we're part of the global call for dedicated UN sustainability of culture. So we're working very closely with UNESCO and UCLG on that piece of work. And then the research element is also a new piece of work that we're reinvigorating, I guess you could say, as part of this new iteration of World Cities Culture Forum outside of Greater London Authority and BOC Consulting. So the primary way that we do our research is through a triennial report, which collects data from across all of our city members, so minimum 46 cities. And this year we are working with the OECD to refresh our data collection framework, to make it more accessible for cities, to make it clear that we are not aiming to, again, create a ranking that the data is about benchmarking where cities are currently at, and then looking at the support that cities need and the opportunity areas to move forward and bring culture into the global agenda. We've also been talking to UNESCO and UCLG about how we could integrate measurement for a SDG for culture within that framework, but that's a goal really for our 28 report and not necessarily this report, but I welcome any comments around that at this point. And I think one area that we're really realizing with our research is the policy leaders that we work with. It really needs to be accessible, pithy, quick to digest, practical research that we do. And so we're looking at how we can bridge the gap between really robust research that is happening in so many spaces and not duplicating the research that's already happening, but then communicating that to our city leaders so they can really use it as an advocacy tool in their spaces. So that's a whistle-stop tour of World Cities Culture Forum. Yeah, this is our list of cities. So the growth areas of our cities, which I'm sure will be interesting for you, is Latin America, Southeast Asia and South Asia, Sub-Saharan Africa, and also Eastern Europe as well. Those are the key areas that we're looking at. And we're really trying to grow slowly. So we're not looking to become a membership network of 100 cities overnight, because we're really focused on the relationships that are built between these cities. So those are the growth areas that we're looking at the moment. And I think I've had some contact with Mike before, and I think some key areas that I would be really interested to collaborate with you all on is a lot around dissemination of the amazing work that you're already doing. So how we can bring your insights to policy leaders to connect them to what you're finding on the ground and look at how that's applicable at a global scale. So that could be through our social media. You're welcome to write guest blogs on our website, and we're happy to be involved in other events as well. But also we are open to discussions around joint research. We have limited capacity at the moment while we're focusing on our large report, but looking towards the future, that is an area that we could explore if of interest. So I'd love to answer any questions. I saw there was a few in the chat, so thank you so much.
Okay. Any other questions? It's I think this is Ella's challenged us now to actually become more involved. If I was to look at the list, I think there's we have a dozen representations here, and if you're looking at benchmarking, I think this is where one of the things that we're going to even speak about, because our first global survey was starting to actually create a benchmark in these issues. So we'd be very happy to join you on this. Klaus Petter is the one who is going to coordinate our next benchmarking, if I use the term which you've used, and perhaps that we could then offline actually meet up again and with Klaus Petter and other people who are interested in dealing with this part. It would also link to something else which we'll talk about later, is the Barcelona Declaration of UN Habitat, which deals with digital technologies, but we'll come to that in a minute, because that will link also to a proposal of Umberto. So it all comes together. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything? Do you want to add something to Christina's comment?
Yeah, it's just about if it's culture, in what sense, if you work more on festivals, on engagement with communities, also on heritage. Yeah, it was just a
general. Absolutely. So as you know, when you're working globally, you can't define culture in any specific way. So we look a lot at the mechanisms that policy leaders use to support all types of culture. So whether that's the funding, whether that's the connections with other departments, the policy levers that you can really use. But we do have some policy areas that we're really honing in on. So one is obviously climate and how cities can really have a voice in that space, and looking at what is already being done and how we can elevate that. So we're working with Julie's Bicycle, and also I know you're doing brilliant work as well. So we're looking at how to support the existing ecosystem. But also other key areas are around citizen engagement and citizen voice, technology and AI, and how cities can have a voice at national level around that issue. What else are we doing? We're doing a lot on creative workspace and that in a more infrastructure-based way. And then heritage kind of falls under all of these areas as well. Representation in the public realm is a really key area that we're looking at in collaboration with infrastructure teams within cities as well. But yeah, our big report will be published this year, which will have more insights on where we're going to be going next.
Okay. I just note that Catherine has come on board, and Birmingham is not on the World Cities Culture Forum.
It's not, no. There's lots of cities that we would love to have.
No, we can't hear you, Catherine. We can't hear you.
It should be on.
Okay.
As the crucible of the Industrial Revolution, there's lots of heritage here. But my question specifically is whether culture, in your mind, culture includes landscape.
For me, it does. Yeah.
In the work that your organisation is doing.
Yeah, well, because we work globally, we have to include all of the definitions of culture that exist in all of these spaces. So in many places, nature is culture, and we need to recognize that in the work that we're doing. And landscape and space is culture.
Okay.
Well, I think that coming from London, and with the London as a national park city, then I think that this is something which is so obvious, perhaps. Anyway, let's move on.
And Mike, sorry,
yeah.
and the West Midlands being a national park, a large urban region, is also a national park and has been since 2018. So it is something that's very close, very important, I think, for culture.
I think there's a lot of things to be debated here, and I'd be very happy if one of the members, the universities, the cities, would actually deal with this. I think that Danielle is looking at this also in Rio, and I think that there's a great deal of opportunities here to challenge some of the existing paradigms which we actually have, and I think that this is exactly where we should be, where we should be addressing some of these issues.